Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and today we're doing an introduction to human design. If you're brand new to human design, this will give you a good foundation to start your journey down the human design rabbit hole. We're going to be talking about what human design is, where it came from, and how it works. I want you to have a good foundation for your human design journey. If you're new to me, hi, like I said, my name's Katie. I teach human design. I have an online program called HD School where I teach the human design system, and I've been in my own human design experiment for about 4 years. I also have a podcast called Sort of Spiritual, and in season 1, we're talking all about human design. So the very first episode of this podcast is actually going to be a little bit of an extended version of this video. So if you want to hear more about human design, what it is, how it works, all of that, my kind of unique perspective on it, then definitely check out the first episode of the Sort of Spiritual podcast. I'll put it in the link below. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning of what is human design. In the most simple terms, it's a system to help you know yourself. And it's a synthesis of a few different systems, including ancient and more modern ones. So Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, Kabbalah, the chakra system, as well as modern systems like quantum physics and genetics. Human design is calculated from your birth time, date, and location, similar to your astrological birth chart would be. And you find out your human design generally these days through a free tool online. My favorite place to go for beginners is mybodygraph.com. I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that. I just think they make it easier for beginners to get the basics of their chart of what they need to get. Plus, I really like that you create an account with it. So once you do that, it has this little library of charts, because generally as you get into human design, you want to know about other people's designs as well. And so you can look up your families, your friends, your partner, and have them all there for you so you can easily reference them without having to look it up every single time. I also like this birth data aspect to it, because I found when I was trying to get to know myself earlier in my life, I would use things like Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram that are based on these questionnaires. And at that time, when I didn't really have a lot of self-awareness, the whole answering questions thing didn't go very well, because either I just didn't have the self-awareness and wouldn't answer them accurately, and so then my results wouldn't be accurate, or my ego would get in the way and I would answer it as the person that I wanted to be, which also gave me results that were not accurate. And because I'm someone who, fluctuates, especially after I learned my human design, I can see a lot of that flexibility in me. The results that I would get from these other systems would change over time. And so it just kind of had me confused, and I didn't necessarily trust the things that it was telling me about myself, good or bad. But with human design, it just is what it is. And so I like that. If you aren't 100% sure on your birth time, I will link a video either somewhere on the screen here and definitely below in the caption about a video that I shared from HD School that talks about what to do if you don't know your birth time, or in that case, if your client doesn't know their birth time, and just some tricks that you can try out to see if you can either get it closer. When you get your free human design chart, or Bodygraph as it's called in human design, I do have a video that describes all the different pieces of it, but there are sort of 3 main pieces that you'll want to look at. One is your type, the second is your strategy, and the third is your authority. Type and strategy go hand in hand. So each type has a matching strategy. So technically, it's not the same thing, but it's the same thing, because it's always going to be the same for each type and strategy. So for example, if you're a manifestor, it'll say to inform. If you're a generator, it'll say to respond. If you're a projector, it will say to wait for the invitation. If it's a reflector, it's to wait for the lunar cycle. And if you're a manifesting generator, it'll say respond. I look at it as respond and inform, but the strategy and the type are always going to match. And strategy is really how you're designed to move through the world energetically with the least amount of resistance. And that's a big part of human design. I do have a video on getting started with human design that talks a little bit about strategy and authority, which I'm going to touch on next. But in my podcast, I will also do an episode on each individual type as well as the strategy. So keep an eye out for that as well. So type and strategy, that's one of the things I said to look for. And then authority is the next big thing. And authority is really how you're designed to make decisions for you that are correct, that are in alignment for you. I always say that your authority is like your Google Google Maps to alignment. I also have an episode on the podcast all about authority, and there's one coming out soon about how to actually start implementing and experimenting with your authority. So if you want to continue down this human design learning, definitely go and check those out. I will, of course, link them in the description below. Now, your body graph, of course, is going to show you so much more than just these pieces, but these are the places that I recommend starting. The not self theme and signature are both pieces that I will cover in the podcasts that I do on each type, so you can learn more about those there. But your profile is another great thing to learn about. It helps you to understand your experience of your design. I will have a podcast coming out soon on the lines, which are a part of the profile. And if this is all gibberish to you, don't worry. I have all the teachings for you coming out on my channel or on my podcast that will help you to understand. Your centers, which are the shapes on the body graph, are also great to learn about. I have episodes on those. They're channels, which are the lines between the centers or gates. They're great to learn about too. And those are some of the more, like, I would say, advanced pieces. You don't need to worry about those right away. I do have a series that I'm teaching on the channels on my Instagram, so you can come check that out as well. I, of course, will link it down below, but it's at Sort of Spiritual if you want to learn more about the channels that you have on your design. And like I said, I like my body graph because it breaks down this information in a way that's pretty clear. The one thing I would say I don't love about mybodygraph.com is the talking body graph aspect. I don't find it to be particularly useful. I don't really love the way they describe things, but you might find it useful, so check it out. Human design is also called the Science of Differentiation. And I love that part of human design, this idea that we are all designed to be unique. I think so often we get caught in comparing ourselves to other people. And when you can see it in like black and white or like black and red and whatever other colors you have on your design, it makes it so easy to understand that we actually are different. And for me, it's helped me so much to release the comparison I used to have with other people, because I can very, very clearly see how we're designed differently. So let's talk a little bit about what human design is not. It is not a religion. It is not a belief system. And I mean, I get that some people don't believe in astrology, so in that way, perhaps there's like something to believe in, but it's not a belief system like a religion is. You don't have to follow it. What it is a set of strategies, tools that you can use to experiment with for your own alignment, for your own success, for your own happiness. And if the experiment goes well for you, keep it up. It has completely transformed my life for the better in every way. And I'm going to be sharing more about that in future podcast episodes. Maybe I'll do a YouTube video about it too. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that, or if you have any questions about my journey with human design. I feel like I'm talking so much like, I have this video, I have this podcast, but I just want to let you know I have resources for you if you're like, okay, I want to learn more. What's next? What's next? So I have a lot of things covered as you're really starting this journey. So who created human design? How was human design created? The founder of human design is a man that went by the name of Ra Uru Hu. He was born in Canada as Alan Robert Krakauer, and in 1987, in January, he had an experience with the voice, as he called it, where he had this 8-day kind of channel download conversation with the voice that gave him the human design system. He has a video on that on YouTube. He has since passed away, but if you want to hear more about his experience with the voice, you can definitely listen to him share that. All right, now how does human design actually work? It's really based on this idea of something called neutrinos. And I'm not a scientist, but I will do my best to explain this correctly. Neutrinos are tiny, tiny, tiny particles. They're smaller than atoms, smaller than protons, neutrons, all of those, so small. And although they are really small, they have mass, and that mass carries information. And so it's almost like these neutrinos are constantly raining down on us all day, every day, from the sun, from other stars, from planets to a degree. And so as these pass through these items in our solar system, they pick up information, and then as they move through, they sort of transport that information and imprint us. So when you look at your body graph, you will see that there is a column of gates, that's what these numbers are, on the right and on the left, the black column and the red column. So the black column is the imprinting that you received from the neutrinos. from the planets and everything on the day that you were born. And then the red column happened 88 degrees or about 3 months before you were born, which was another imprinting. And together, this stardust, or sometimes neutrinos are called the breath of stars, which I think sounds beautiful. That's what turns on these gates and these channels and these centers and all of these little pieces that give us these qualities that we have from a human design perspective. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I wanted this to be a bit of a shorter episode, and I've already talked quite a bit, but I mentioned a lot of resources in terms of continuing on your human design journey. I will link them below. And if you have questions, I'm really in this like creating all kinds of videos and podcasts energy right now. So let me know what else you have questions about. How did you find human design? I'm curious. I found it a couple years ago now, but I know it's just getting more and more popular. So let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you soon. You know, human design has completely transformed my life. So I hope it has something wonderful to also offer you. Have a lovely day, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.